prime time on the top game, it's a fine line. Man in the match, that's Daveye, he's the main guy, keep a close eye. Make sure you don't make no wrong play, cause I'm with Jose and Andre. When Cyrus comes to walk in, you better know that you are watching Premier League. Daveye, tell him what time we on, what time we on. Prime time, let me hear you say Premier League. Daveye, tell him what time we on, what time we on.
Hello and welcome to Premier League Primetime, and we are here to give you a preview to the big match at the weekend, Chelsea hosting Manchester United. And I'm here with someone that I've called him Chili, I've called him Cucurella. I don't know, either one works. But I'm with Ethan. How are you doing?
I'm good today. How are you?
It is an absolute delight to have this lad on the channel. One of our biggest supporters. Been with us since day one. So we're really happy to have him around. And of course, we're, as I said, here to give you a preview to this weekend's big match, Chelsea hosting Manchester United. Let's start with Chelsea, right? Looking at their game, Graham Potter. Before we even get into the game, just what are your thoughts on Graham Potter as so far? He's taken over for Tuchel, just general thoughts on it.
I wouldn't say he was thrown in the deep end. He comes into a team with a good squad, good reputation, but handling the pressure really well. We're undefeated. There have been some bad results, a couple of ties that we don't like to see, but overall, I think it's been good.
And I also would have to say the exact same. I think Chelsea have been all right. And honestly, as of right now, I think if there's anyone that I could fear of missing out on the top four, it'd probably be you lot. Out of anyone. And now looking at this game, right? One of those draws that Ivan Toney. No, I'm only joking. I can't talk because Brentford triggers my own PTSD. Don't even get into the 4-0. But 0-0 against Brentford, of course, it really wasn't the greatest result. Not the greatest. It was more of a lucky sort of, I guess you could say, get out of jail point from Chelsea.
Yeah.
Just what are your overall thoughts on the game? Anything that you can take away from the game that you could say, yeah, I liked what I saw from that? Or
yeah. So my takeaways from that game, I was only able to catch the second half and a little bit of the first half because I had class, but watching the highlights back and seeing most of the game, Kepa has been really good lately, which is surprising, but we'll take it. And then the defense looks a little shaky. Brentford was getting a lot of chances, so we had to rely on the goalkeeper a lot, which is too bad. I think Pulisic came in and looked good. We made positive attacking changes, which led to a lot of opportunities, but I just think we started the game off with the wrong people on the field. We weren't able to get chances and weren't able to get going.
Yeah, and for me, that's probably the biggest sort of difference that we've seen. And Kepa, let's be real. I know I'm always supposed to be devil's advocate, but let's be real. For the past 2 seasons, he's been dead. Kepa's been dead, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't know where I think he's gone, but they decided to keep him. They only wanted to get rid of him, not on loan, but for a permanent deal. As Todd Bowley specifically throughout the clubs that were interested, and Graham Potter's come in, and I thought originally it was because of a contract situation with Edouard Mendy, but no, he literally just prefers Kepa as his number one. And Kepa is, for me, the Aston Villa game that I saw you lot play, I think if it weren't for Kepa, I think you guys probably would have lost by 5 goals or something like that.
Yeah, Kepa was outstanding.
He's been brilliant. And now just looking at this performance, right, and looking at the team that you play at the weekend, where do you think Chelsea can expose and target Manchester United as they come to Stanford Bridge for this game at the weekend? And what do you think Graham Potter needs to do from a tactical standpoint, from a player personnel standpoint, in terms of choosing a side? Anything specific that Graham Potter really needs to focus in on?
Okay, I think it's going to be important to stick to the back five tomorrow, Saturday, because Manchester United have been looking good attacking wise. So we need to at least hamper down and defend and give Kepa some support back there this time. I think Thiago Silva needs to be in there to command that back line.
He's been brilliant.
Let's see.
He ages like fine wine, Thiago Silva.
That he does. I think the midfield too could get our midfield could get exposed. I think we need to go with a strong lineup of physical players.
Mm-hmm.
I like Jorginho is a controversial figure. We've talked about this before. I think he can get exposed by the likes of the more physical, fast, stronger players that Manchester United have there in the middle. Casemiro.
It's pros and
specifically.
cons with the Jorginho, because if you give him the time and the space, he's brilliant, he's amazing. But if you put a man on him and you don't give him that time and space, he tends to struggle.
That's right.
I've heard the Italian Mark Nobles and all of that. But he's a good player, but I just don't know that if he's, and we've seen it, that when he's been tasked to just sit there by himself, he's struggled in protecting it, whether he's playing alongside Kovacic or even Conte, as the manager wants Conte to get more forward, which don't ask me how that makes any sense, because I'm pretty sure you're just as confused with that as I am.
Yeah.
But just, if you're Graham Potter, right, and you're picking a team for this game, what 11 are you going to go with for this game, and why you think so?
Obviously, in a perfect world, we'd have James and Conte, but they're out at the moment.
Course, yeah.
So I think Kepa starts in goal. He's been great. A back line of probably Thiago Silva. I think Koulibaly gets the start, and I don't know, that third spot could go to Chalobah, so that Azpilicueta can push out wide. And Chalobah has a really good record of winning games when he starts. In fact, he's never lost a game he started. So
yeah, I actually like Chalobah. I think he's like you're basically your regen of Tomori.
It feels like that, yeah. And he's been good lately too. So I think at that left back spot, we're going to want to see Chilwell over Cucurella. Just gives us that attacking prowess a little bit more. The midfield is where things get a little more complicated. I mean, Loftus-Cheek.
Who plays on the right though? Who plays at right wing back?
At that right wing back spot.
You could go Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah, it could be Loftus-Cheek or Azpilicueta. I think if Azpilicueta plays in that back three middle instead of Chalobah, then you're gonna see Loftus-Cheek out wide. But personally, I would start Chalobah and push Azpilicueta out wide. I think that the pace and youthful energy of Chalobah is okay to have back there when you have two experienced presences like Silva and Koulibaly.
100%.
So for me, that's the back line.
100%. And who's going to be your midfield pivot for
See, this is where things get complicated. I mean, a good game from Jorginho could help us get a result, but a bad game would definitely not be something we want to see. So
I mean, a midfield that I actually do want to talk about. You need a defensive midfielder, right? And deadline day, you signed on them. Probably one of the best out there that's just available. Dennis Zakaria. It's a player I've always rated so highly, and I've wanted him here. And it just seems that, I don't know, apparently he's just morphed into Donny, and apparently he's just getting the Donny treatment. And I don't think he's seen a single minute in the Premier League so far.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think that's even less than Donny. And if you're getting less minutes than Donny, then I think there's something wrong. But what are your thoughts on this? The Dennis Zakaria situation? It's kind of a mystery, isn't it?
Yeah, I think a mystery is a good way to put it. He's obviously a good player. He came in, was it deadline day, close to deadline day?
Pretty much.
Yeah, so maybe he hasn't had that time to adjust. Maybe the manager doesn't like him, or there's internal conflict that we can't see. But I mean, he's a player I'd like to see get minutes. I just don't think against Manchester United, it's a time to throw him in there.
No, of course not. No. But it's weird because you have that option. You've had that option, and neither Tuchel or Graham Potter's opted to use it.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing that they may terminate his loan and send him back. It'd be a real shame because he's a good player, but I feel like he may end up suffering the same fate as Saul did last season.
Oh gosh,
a very good player coming in, but just didn't work out. Simple as. Now, wait, who did you say your midfield pivot was?
That's right. I haven't decided.
We don't have that many options.
I think Jorginho will start. And I think that maybe his experience and what he can offer on a good day is going to get him into that lineup. So I think for me, he'll start next to Kovacic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that you're really gonna throw Gallagher into a game like this. I don't see that. I mean, Chelsea are not going to use Dennis Zakaria. They need a midfielder. They need one.
Mm-hmm.
They really, really do, because they lack in numbers there. And now this is where it gets very interesting. The front three, that has been a conundrum all season. I'd say I'd say apart from Aubameyang, who's done his part in scoring the goals and called one,
He's
you know,
looked
the,
good.
the front three for a lot of the season has majorly underperformed. I know some have come to life, like Mason Mount, who I know, you know, all you Chelsea fans that are probably screaming Mason Mount. Yes, I'm gonna mention Mason Mount, and a few others. But what front three do you start? You have abundance of options, but
Yeah.
are they really that clinical of
No,
options?
most of the time we struggle with finishing. I think we have great options, and I think that there's a lot of good players who can come off the bench and provide a little energy, a little spark, which is good. But for that starting spot, I mean, you want players that are reliable, that are going to finish their chances, and players that have, again, a lot of game experience, especially going into a game against Manchester United. So I think for me, we need to ride that wave of Mount being on fire lately. So I think he goes in there. I think Sterling is your other option, and up front it's going to be Aubameyang, of course.
You know, not it's a no-brainer, but you can't really go wrong. And I mean, unless if you know you play Kai Havertz at striker, but you know, I mean you have been used to that already.
Oh yeah.
And other than that, do you really think there's anything else that Graham Potter needs to do in terms of just really focusing and running his team against a side who are in the Manchester Derby? They've been in good form. There've been games where they've not been as great, but they've largely been in good form.
Yeah, so Manchester United have looked good. They look good against Tottenham, especially, which is a team that we struggle with sometimes, especially on that 2-2 draw at the start of the season. So
you lot should have battled them. That should have been your game.
Unbelievable. That Cucurella hair pull. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
You lot should have destroyed.
Horrible call. So here's what I'd say. Manchester United's looking good. Graham Potter, you know, he's new. He needs time, so we need to be patient.
I mean, he knows how to play against Man United. I mean, we call Brighton in our community. We call Brighton Munich for a simple reason for when they play against Man United, especially under Potter. You know, the end results, you know, pretty inevitable. Just another moment where my PTSD just gets triggered.
Yeah, so we know Manchester United are good, but Graham Potter does have good results against them in the past.
He's a good record against us. He's a very good record as a manager.
So I think we need to stick to what works for Chelsea, which is that back five. I really do think that's the way to play it. It allows our quality wing backs to get forward, which I think is important, especially when our
center backs. And like when I was seeing the back four, I was thinking, okay, maybe the first time, all right, you're learning, but then he was playing it like sort of like consistently. I'm just like, do you have an excess of center backs? Why?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's foolish. We have so many defensive options. You got to get those at least 3 center backs on the field, and those wing backs.
Oh, defender who I forgot your big money signing this summer, Wesley Fofana. That's from right. A big money center back signing from Leicester, which I think this one will go up. Unlike another one who like his name he shall not be named, but you know he's kind of forgotten. Anyways, I barely honestly someone brought up his name the other day, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I kind of forgot he plays for us. The other day, but Wesley Fofana.
That's a good shout, and he slipped my mind too. So he's a player that could start in that right center back role to allow Azpilicueta to go out wide.
Do you think Chelsea made the right decision? Of course, Fofana, regardless, he's gonna, with the potential that the kid has, he's very young. What we've seen from him, he's always going to cost a lot of money. And Leicester, they've seen that they got a number which I don't ever want to pay for any player. I don't care if it's for Mbappe, Haaland, 80 million. I never want to pay that number ever again. It could be 80.5 million. But we paid 80 million. I'm never paying that number again. But they made 80 million off of Harry Maguire, 45 million from Chilwell, and now 75 million from Fofana. So they sell their players at big prices. You're not going to buy players cheap from Leicester. That's just
right.
That you get what you're given. But do you think this was the right sort of signing, or do you think that maybe there is a better center back alternative that could have been cheaper, possibly better?
I'm okay with this signing. I think that we have experienced figures that will help him grow to be a quality player when the time comes, and I think he's good now. Maybe there's a shout for a few other players that are out there that maybe you could have gotten for cheaper, but I do think that this transfer will work out in a positive light for Chelsea.
And I feel like this was a smart signing as well, because I think regardless of who is the manager, because I think that Tuchel, I think Tuchel wanted him anyways, but this is a player that it's not like, oh, he's a Tuchel guy. I mean, Aubameyang. I mean, yeah, there weren't many good strikers available on the market, but I mean, you go and get Aubameyang, a guy who's literally worked with Tuchel.
Yeah.
Probably had his best years of his career under Tuchel. So, you brought him in to help Tuchel out, but I feel like this could be anyone's guy. It could be Potter's guy, literally anyone. So I think that's sort of like the positive benefits. But anyways, now shifting away from Chelsea and into my beloved, who absolutely made my day yesterday. And one thing that I just want to say really quickly, out of all the teams in the Premier League, Tottenham played the most boring and dull football of any team. And I know he's a Chelsea fan, but he's had Conte, and he's had Conte when they actually had a side that could win trophies. And not that Tottenham know anything about that, just yet. We'll see. But Manchester United now. I'm not going to ask myself because I already know what I'm going to say, and I'll go on for sermons for ages. Now, for Manchester United, now you look at this performance against Tottenham, right? In your opinion, right? Like, who were your standouts in that game?
Right. Well, we know that Fred had a fantastic game, which is not something we always see from Fred, but great game.
Beautiful. Dropping the Sturmans, my guy Pastor Fred, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, we cannot forget him. And the one thing that Fred had a good game. A certain pundit from a certain sports organization who always feel the need to hammer Manchester United, they pointed out Fred and gave him praise. And I'm thinking, okay, if this guy's giving Fred praise, then surely he must have played well. So
surely, yeah.
Fantastic performance from Fred.
I think Casemiro came to light as well. I think this, we've seen him play okay. We've seen him play not the best at Manchester United. I think this was maybe the first, maybe the second really quality performance. 100%. I mean, the midfield looked good.
That 100%, and it just shows that it spent time to bring Casemiro into the team. And honestly, and it's funny because you look at our seeing two worst performances of the season, Manchester Derby 4-0 to Brentford. You look at those two performances and you can clearly see that we got battered, and Ten Hag has basically just more or less just ripped up the team sheet and said, all right, we're starting again. No. We're starting all over again. We're going back to square one. And he's made those changes. Maguire, that was his last game that he's played, and what's happened, Varane's stepped in with that beautiful little Argentinian at center back who I absolutely adore. And do you agree with what everyone's saying? Too short to play in the Premier League, as everyone's saying.
I mean, that's maybe a concern until you see the man play. I mean, quality center back, he's got the grit. And you have to point out, I mean, how tall is Thiago Silva? 5'11". He's not particularly tall either, but he's been a world-class center back for how long now? So no, you don't need to be tall.
100%. And honestly, I mean, this guy, we signed him for, I think it was add-ons. It was like 40 million pounds, add-ons leading to 50. If this is a guy that we're getting for 50 million pounds, then this is a 50 million pound player, arguably more in today's market. You look at how good he's done. But 100%, he was, again, immense. He's been immense all season, but he was just another standout performance for him. And I think one thing that I'm just so impressed with Ten Hag is that specifically, he does not care who you are, what your name is, what your stature is. If you're a 5-time Ballon d'Or winner or if you're Phil Jones, he does not care. It's the Ten Hag way or it's the highway. You're out. And I liked how he's stamped his authority in specifics with the whole, Cristiano Ronaldo incident at the end of the game. And as much as I love Ronaldo, for me, when I first saw this, I thought, what a spoiled brat. What a spoiled brat. I mean, I know it hurts. It hurts the footballing world to see what age is catching up to you, right? it's sad to see. And should he be starting every game? No, because Ten Hag has justified it correctly. And the fact how his ego is not only taken him to the heights that he's gotten to, it's also hurt him really, really badly.
Yeah.
And a situation like this is, I mean, what do you think about it?
Well, I mean, there's always things going on behind the scenes that we don't know. And
100%.
you have to consider that there's different factors that the public isn't aware of. But you know, Ronaldo's a good player. Ten Hag's a good manager. So, you know, it's hard. I think having Ronaldo on the bench, at least on paper, looks a little bit blasphemous. But I mean, when the results justify not starting him, I mean, when you see Manchester United winning, then the results are there for you.
It just irritated me, right? And even his most like staunchest of defenders were saying, come on, it's really grow up. That you're 37, approaching 38 in February, went on, but like, you know, we just played arguably the best performance of football that I have probably seen since Fergie days. Yes, since Fergie days, I've not seen a performance this dominant, this controlling. I think the shot statistics, and I don't usually use statistics as like my main sort of go-to in terms of judging a performance, but it was like it was like 28-6 or something like that. I mean, Tottenham were just, but then again, you know, we kind of know how Tottenham play anyways. And when they don't have the likes of Kulusevski and Richarlison, you know, we already know what they're going to do. They're going to go even more dull and boring and put in 3 defensive midfielders in there. I mean, Lucas Moura is just forgotten. I don't know what's happened to him. Giving the youth players a chance, say that one for another time, because you know that's just a Conte thing, and again, you know as well. And one thing that I will say, right, when, like, if you remember, like a year ago, we were linked with Conte, weren't we? When of course, you know, Ollie's job was on the line, and we all know what happens when his job's on the line. You know, we morph into Man United under Prime Sir Alex days, and he gets saved by Ronaldo mainly. And Conte was like the front runner for the job, and I was getting, and something funny, I was getting hammered. For saying, look, he'll bring us quick success, something, but for the long term, I want something that's also good for now, but for the long term.
That's right.
I've now had to watch 2 managers that play incredibly dull football, and I need to see some progressive football. I need some football. Right. I could say, okay, there's something there. And I said from day one, if we can get Ten Hag, get this guy in, please. We gotta get him in. Yeah. Although I didn't know that, you know, we get most of our signings from the, Eredivisie this summer. I'm not trying to morph into IXFC, you know, but it's funny because I can just see what Ten Hag's doing, and I think everyone's behind the manager. I think this is the first time in a very long time that I don't think you just look at everyone around you and you just think there's really not anyone saying Ten Hag. No one should be saying Ten Hag out, but saying, but what is Ten Hag doing here? He's gotten this totally wrong. I mean, he's gotten some things wrong, that's normal, but I just see a fan base that's united behind the manager, and you could tell in the performances on the pitch that you could see the players really believe in what he's saying. Yeah,
I agree. I think a great example, you were saying that Conte short-term success, you want something for the future. I mean, Arteta is a really good example of that. I mean, you invest in this manager, and I mean, Arsenal didn't look good. They weren't always fun to watch, but it's paying off now. And so I think Ten Hag is a manager for the future, just like Arteta.
Had to go by, trust the process for a few years.
Right.
I mean, if that was happening at my club in terms of what Arteta was doing, and after the 2 seasons ago, I think everyone was saying Arteta needs to go, and if that was my club, I would be saying the same thing. I was saying I turned Ollie out after we lost that game at home to Arsenal, and we lost, and we made Hector Bellerin look like prime. We made him look like Spanish Cafu. And we made Muhammad Al Nani look like reincarnation of Claude Makelele, which is great. At that point, I was like, no. All he needs to go. But there's just something about managers of the past where you look, Van Gaal had the right ideas, but it just wasn't really the right time, I guess you could say, just in the wrong moment.
Yeah.
But Van Gaal had the right ideas. He's the one who brought up all these young kids. He was the one saying, we need to reinvest in the future. I mean, look how many kids just Van Gaal's career, and I have no idea why I'm going on about Van Gaal when it's a Chelsea Man United preview. But Anthony Martial, Marcus Rashford, players like that who are still here now. And we've seen them struggle for a while, just lacking consistency because they hadn't really had a coach that's going to develop them and work with them. Right. And I look at them now, and they just, the reason why Martial's has been in, out. The manager loves him. He rates Martial. He rates him. Marcus Rashford, he said, "You're going nowhere. I want to see you here. Right. Stay." And for me, I'm just genuinely very happy. I'm sure you are not in the views and watching this probably saying, all right, let Ethan talk for a minute. Yeah. But anyways, just again, are there any other players that you think that have really just been standout players in this recent run of games that Chelsea really need to just keep an eye on and just lock down?
Yeah, Anthony, of course, came in for big money, but he's been, the results are there. So that's a player we need to look out for sure. He just looks explosive and creative, and he's always making chances. And for an outside player, he can really score. So something you could maybe take notes on.
My only issue with Anthony is that I'm hearing people say he's a cut-in merchant and all that. He's a one-trick pony and all that. But he does tend to cut inside a lot. And I know Ten Hag with the wingers, he specifically said, I want a left-footed right winger that cuts inside. That's what he wanted. Yeah. And I think he's hoping that Anthony will grow and will, he'll get more to his game. But I think right now, he cannot just only cut in on his left foot because I think people sort of are just figuring that out now. Yeah. But he's been all right. And now, for Manchester United, what do you think Ten Hag needs to do in terms of preparation for this game against Chelsea? Where can Manchester United hit Chelsea where it hurts? Where can Chelsea be targeted as of right now? Well,
if you overrun our midfield, we're in trouble. Luckily, we've been able to have a solid defense there. That it's sometimes looks like last ditch defending, but defending is defending, and shutouts are shutouts. So with a good keeper and a good back line, we've been able to hold out chances. But when you overrun that midfield, especially, a high press on Jorginho can do some damage. So when you get through that midfield, and you can just attack us, that's one place we can get hurt. And I think that third center back we were talking about, there's Koulibaly and there's Thiago Silva, and then there's whoever else you put there. That's somewhere you can maybe expose us as well.
That's very fair. And really quickly, before we get into the combined 11, for me, I think if you can really get out their outside backs, I rate Chilwell, I rate Cucurella. They're B-Tech versions of you, but that's okay. But I feel like you can get at them in terms of how well our wingers have been doing. Yeah. But I'd say really target the right hand side, because I rate Reece James so highly. Yeah. And people think I'm outlandish because I said apart from Reece James, João Cancelo, and Kyle Walker, if he still had his legs, I'm not taking any other right back over Diogo Dalot right now. Because Diogo Dalot just seems he just has more all around to his game when it's just defending, whether it's just attacking. And you can see it. And Reece James, he's an incredible footballer, and he's only going to get better. He's obviously a huge miss. N'Golo Kante, of course. Yeah,
that one hurts.
He does the Phil Jones specialty, gets injured again, and is out yet again for 4 months.
Yeah, that's brutal.
I think it's as good as he's been. I think his contract starts at the end of the season. Yeah. I think if I were Chelsea, I'd just let him move on. And I'm sure Graham Potter is going to be raiding his former club. Will probably sign all of Brighton. Who knows? Which if they do, then if next time Chelsea play against us, you guys are probably gonna win like 5-0 or something like that. Who knows? Anyways, let's get into the combined 11. What formation would you like to use?
Well,
Even
since it's your channel, do we want to go with the Manchester United? What have they been running recently?
and I mean you're the guest. I'll let you choose, but all right. I guess we'll go with the 4-3-3.
I was gonna say
very basic.
Playing with a 5 in the back really plays to our strengths with the wing backs. So I think let's go with something simple.
4-3-3 is fine. In terms of recent form, in goal, I'll just say the past, I don't know, 4 games, 5 games, whatnot. I mean, Kepa's only played 2 games. I think if Kepa had played more, I'd probably go with Kepa if he had played more games.
Yeah, which sounds crazy.
And
but
the funniest thing, and this is why, like, I'm just in love with Ten Hag soon. Like this game, and I think the game before, I'm seeing a ball being played back to De Gea, which normally I'm there's sweat dripping all everywhere. I'm the cold sweats are dripping. I'm petrified. And this man just one touch, just send it to Luke Shaw to the left back, and I'm just like, did Daveye really just play it off the back? Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, I'd go with David De Gea because he's playing more games. Are you gonna back Kepa, or are you gonna? Stick with De Gea?
I think if you're looking at like the most recent of games,
Kepa we'll has been the past run of like 3-4 games.
3 or 4 games. I mean, Kepa's been great. He's kept clean sheets. I want to say in the last 5, which is which is you can't really argue with that, but historically De Gea has been great, and Manchester United have been on a good run of form. So I think De Gea is a good pick there.
And of course, for those who don't know, our combined 11s here on Premier League Prime Time, it's we account injuries and unavailabilities and in current form, of course.
Yeah,
so,
and I think Kepa's always prone to an error, and that's something that even I am still fearful of after seeing him play well. You watch the next game, you never know which Kepa you're going to get. So
definitely,
I think De Gea is just a sturdy choice.
Well, we'll go with David De Gea. We'll start with the back 4. I will start with right back, and I think it's we all love this cheek, Aspilicueta, Wan-Bissaka, and Diogo Dalot.
Yeah,
I think we'll just move on. Diogo Dalot goes straight in that right back. I don't think that's any sort of I think that's a no-brainer. Now this is where it gets really interesting. The center backs. I am so tempted to just say we're taking both, because both we're getting one of them, because because that beautiful little man is going in at center back regardless.
I have to agree.
I love him. I also do. He's amazing. And
I think since coming, it's almost been revolutionary, right?
And that's what I think is the something that he has brought. Like, I've never seen our back 4 have sort of like just they seem excited, enthusiastic about defending. I mean when I had to watch this lot defend last year, I was enthusiastic just to see the final whistle. Just for me to know that the game is over. But I call it back 4 the Vamos merchants, because for whatever reason, anytime we win a throw in or a goal kick or or something like that, they're always like chest bumping and like high-fiving each other, like fist bumping, and this has been like the Lissandro sort of. He's brought that, and I find not only pretty funny, because it is pretty amusing to watch. I'll be honest here, it is funny, but it's just increased everyone's mentality around them. Someone as calm and as prestige as Rafael Varane is, he's made it more aggressive. Yeah, and that's sort of one thing I've always had a criticism of Varane. Like for me, he's a great center back. Don't get me wrong. Arguably one of the best in the past 5 years, but I just don't think he has that, or he had that real aggression or bite that Sergio Ramos did. And that's why playing him alongside Mr. 80 million pound man just wasn't going to do him anything well. Even playing him next to Lindelof would be better. But he's instilled into Varane, so I think Lisandro Martinez, it's a no-brainer. And I'll be kind. It's your first time on the channel. I'll let you have the other center back.
I think it belongs to Thiago Silva.
100%.
I think that presence is
He's
just
been-
ridiculous.
I think he's he's 38 now. I think 37, 38.
Going on 38 at least. Yeah.
100%. And this man could easily still play here for like another year or two minimum. He could.
Yeah.
Honestly.
He plays like he's our age. So
100%.
And it's astonishing. He's in good shape. Tracking back maybe isn't his strongest suit anymore. He's not as quick, but I think that presence back there just is absolutely unmatched.
Yeah, and I think it's a no-brainer to have him in there. Now, left back. Once again, what happens when we bring in a good left back? We go from James Corden to Roberto Carlos just gets just comes back. He comes back to life, and he's cemented that left back spot as of now. And again, another thing that I like about Ten Hag, if he doesn't like your performance, he said, all right, cool, you're out, you're gonna sit out for a bit until someone else like messes up and they go in for you.
Right.
But of course, Cucurella's been playing as like a left-sided center back in years. And we'll count him as a left back option. Ben Chilwell, Luke Shaw, and we have Tiro Malacia. You take your pick out.
For me, I think obviously Chilwell's going to play better as an attacking left back. Some sort of left wing back suits him better. So if truly playing a 4 in the back maybe isn't his spot, but I think for the sake of this combined 11, maybe. And you know what? It's hard though, because he's been in and out of the team, trading time with Cucurella. Shaw hasn't necessarily played every game this season. This one is truly up in the air.
I'll give it to Chilwell. I'll give it to Chilwell.
I think he is. I think he is the starting left back for England going into the World Cup.
Yeah, that's something to debate.
And I think he's better than Shaw, unless Shaw gets a really nice run of games going. But I don't think Chilwell has been his best this season, and I don't think it's his fault really. I think it's just that.
I rate Chilwell as a left. I really like Chilwell, and he should definitely go to the Euro or to the World Cup, 100%. I'll give it to Chilwell. I think that's fair. Into the midfield three, as much as I would say we need someone in there that if the other team is just committing sin after sin, we need someone that I can forgive them for their sins and dish out the sermons, of course.
Right.
But he's only morphed back into Pastor Fred one game. As much as I like Pastor Fred, he's not eligible for this combined 11. And unfortunately, even though I love him, options. For you lot, we'll throw Gallagher in there. Why not? Gallagher, Loftus-Cheek, Jorginho, Kovacic.
Yeah.
And then for us, it's been we'll Casemiro's fine. He'll definitely play. Casemiro. We'll throw Mason Mount in here. Why not?
How about McTominay?
Yeah, McTominay, Christian Eriksen, who I adore, and that Portuguese midfielder whose favorite pastime is complaining to the referees and diving all over the pitch and dressing up in his Casper the Ghost costume, because Halloween is his favorite time of year, because he always goes missing when there's a big game up until Tottenham. Bruno Fernandes. I guess we'll have just that.
Yeah,
I guess if they're making the options.
That's a good bunch of options. To start off, I would say I don't think Fernandes had the best game. His goal was
no,
good,
he didn't.
He turned up when it mattered, which is important. But I don't think it was a particularly standout game for him. I think it was a moment of.
I 100% agree with that, and I was saying that as well. Like he took his goal well. He did some good things, but I was also saying that I actually made money. I actually made $30 from someone who that they had bet me that Bruno Fernandes, he was 100% convinced that Bruno Fernandes never moans, never complains, and I said, all right, would you want to make a bet? And he's like, here's $30. If he doesn't moan for the whole game, you give me $30. And I said, all right, cool. Watch me win this bet within 5 minutes. Yeah. In 5 minutes, I already see him diving, rolling around, and a potential penalty call, and he's the first one to the referee. So I'm like, well, thanks for that. I think we'll say Casemiro is just like given. He'll play.
Yeah, I think Casemiro.
I'll let you choose one of your guys, and then
I mean, it's hard. I've been critical of Jorginho, you may have noticed, so I don't think he gets into that team. And I like Kovacic, but again, we just rotate that middle so much historically and lately that it's like he hasn't really. I don't know. I just think these players have a hard time establishing their spot at Chelsea. It can be tricky. The only spot we've really seen that sort of is in the defense, and Reece James is a well-established player. But so for me, I think Mount, he was a little bit off it against Brentford. He came off early. But he has been on fire. That free kick was nice. He scored 2 goals.
the free kick was good, but come on, the first goal against Villa.
The first goal was lucky. He's a poacher's goal.
And of course, who's the person that headers the ball in the air? Target. He will probably go to the World Cup with England. I can't be asked.
Yeah.
But
so I think out of those options, I mean, Loftus-Cheek has not looked bad. He's been a surprising turn of events.
I like Loftus-Cheek. I do. I rate Loftus-Cheek, and he can play in different positions. But I mean, I guess I probably would go with Mount, but that's really
I agree. I think Mount's the best player to put in there. I do think Loftus-Cheek has looked good. I appreciate how versatile he is. He's not better than Mount.
All right, that's fair. And then I do like Kovacic, but has he done more than Christian Eriksen? No,
Not this season.
Is he a better player than Christian Eriksen? They're very different, but just Eriksen has more to his game, so I guess he'll give it to Christian Eriksen off of that.
I think that's fair.
And now this is where it gets interesting, right? Like, it's interesting because for the front three, it's like our front three isn't that clinical. It's not. We don't have a clinical goal scorer.
Yeah.
So Aubameyang will probably get into this, and it's funny because our wingers they're not that clinical either. So it's actually going to be quite interesting what we're going to make of this.
We're looking at a Manchester United where none of the front three scored a goal in that 2-0 win against Tottenham, and we're looking at a Chelsea that didn't manage to score a single goal against Brentford. So these are not particularly clinical teams.
No, they're not. Man United rely on more of the build-up, as Ten Hag is wanted to instill in the players to stop the whole, hit on the break, counter-attack, because I'm not trying to play Conte ball. I'm not trying to see my team play Conte ball, ever. But I guess I'll just say Aubameyang.
I think goals. I guess the best striker option, disregarding Ronaldo. Obviously, I think he is the best striker on the list, but lately he's not been the best. No,
and I'd still put Aubameyang above Ronaldo for this season. I mean,
this season, Aubameyang's the guy to put up top, I think.
100%. And then on the wings, I mean, I love Icicle Tony. I don't like how he's always injured. I mean, for us, we have Marcus Rashford, Anthony, Jadon Sancho, who's looking devoid of confidence. I love Sancho. He's just been devoid of confidence. So it's really between Rashford and Anthony. Just one of those two. I guess you choose one of your guys, and I guess I'll choose one of mine. I guess.
I think it's obvious. I think it has to be Sterling. Reliable player, finishes his chances most of the time. Chances seem to fall to him like a magnet. So I think Sterling goes out there, maybe on the left wing or wherever you want to put it.
100%. Between Anthony and Rashford, I can't really decide. If I say Rashford, I'm gonna get screamed English bias. But if I say Anthony, I'll just say cutting merchant. So it's kind of a lose-lose with this one. I don't know. I'll say Anthony. Because
I think that's a good call.
And there you have it. And before we head out, score predictions for this game.
I thought this was coming. I'm gonna back Chelsea, make it a little more fun. I don't want to. We have to have something to root for. So I think Chelsea will win, but I think it's gonna be close. And
we never win at Stanford Bridge.
Yeah, I think we have that home advantage. We may be lucky to get out of the tie. It just depends on the nature of the game. I mean, it's gonna be an interesting one. I was sort of thinking about this before I came in, and I was like, man, I just don't know how this one's going to go. I don't even know who we're going to start. It's, it's kind of all up in the air. So let's go Chelsea 2-1, but I think we'll have to make a lot of saves, and we'll probably have to fall back on that defense a lot.
And there you have it. There is your Chelsea versus Manchester United preview. It's been an absolute pleasure to have this guy on here.
It's been a pleasure.
And we will do a fan cam after this game. We will do a post-match interview. You'll see us two back again. You haven't gotten rid of us quite yet, but you'll see us after the game. Let us know down below in the comments, what do you think will happen in this game?
Thank you so much for your time watching this, and let us know in the comments down below, what are your thoughts on the topics that have been in store in this feature of Premier League Primetime in the comments down below. Smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to check out our other platforms on Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and wherever you are watching this in the world. We hope you have an absolutely fantastic day / evening.